Hiya, it's Owlett here, back with another Legends of Tomorrow review. We're in the comic cupboard, and this week my special guest is Natasha Romanoff, aka Black Widow, because Legends of Tomorrow is happening in Russia. And that's also why I'm wearing one of these fluffy ear flap hats, because I own a lot of hats, and why not? I know that Natasha is Marvel, but she can hang out anyway. She's super cool. She's a badass assassin like White Canary. She's earned a right to guest star. I'm gonna stop rambling about how great Black Widow is and get on with the review. So this week's episode is called Failsafe, and it's the 5th episode. And we're in Soviet Russia, taking off from last week's episode. It's 1986, and Stein, Ray, and Heatwave have been kidnapped by Savage's crew of Russian soldiers, which is super bad and not a fun time for anybody, because they're going to torture Stein to get the algorithm to make firestorms, so nobody wants that. Jax is blaming himself for Stein being kidnapped, which he really shouldn't do, because it's only Rip Hunter's fault, really. It's all Hunter's fault. It's been his fault since day one that anyone is getting in any of the messes, because he makes plans, terrible, terrible plans, and then doesn't listen to anybody, and then gets upset when no one listens to him. So, bad leadership 101. He is the go-to guy for that. And it's of no offense to Arthur Darvill, who is an incredible actor. It seems to be the way his character is written, like he's just this really terrible leader. And Cold is 110% done with it, which is why he lets Rip take on the mobster by himself. And he just does it so coldly, he just flips, it's like, yeah, you can take this guy, I don't really care if you get beaten up to a pulp. Which at this point, I'm honestly like, I don't think he does. I don't think anyone in that team really cares. They only need him to fly the ship, and I'm pretty sure the sciencey brains on that could work it out as well. So the whole team would work better without Rip at this point. I mean, they know how to stop Savage now. It's all with Kendra, so bye, Rip. I'm sure that they can still help you stop Savage and get your kids and wife to live, but you just need to step back and let them take over. So Rip's tactic so far, every episode, has been to just, let's not take the whole team in ever, because he doesn't seem to trust them all to work together, or he doesn't want to risk losing them. But the whole point of assembling the team is that you want them to, assemble and fight as a team. They all bring something that's worth using. And he never shows them the future if their plan succeeds. He's always showing them versions of their future if their plans fail. And I find it really weird that he's always using fear to drive them instead of hope. It's sort of very messed up. And are we to assume that they're still using the translators that they were using last episode? Because we didn't see them come back in, and Gideon hasn't activated them. And we didn't need them in Germany, because everyone spoke American. Well, everyone spoke English. But no one seems to speak English in Russia, so they need those translated pills from last episode, but they weren't in this episode, so I'm assuming they're all activated. Because I noticed that Stein's wasn't activated last episode, but he just went off and started speaking Russian, so I feel like it's a little bit coming unstuck there with that plot. Well, it's not plot, with that little gadget. I think overall that Daredevil did Russians better. I'm just saying, the Russians in Daredevil were really, really well done, and they spoke Russian, and it was amazing. So it just shows you it can be done. So that's one area in which the DC TV series could learn something from Marvel's TV series, because for the most part, I actually enjoy DC's TV series more than I've enjoyed Marvel's. But when it comes to the grittiness of, war and having something at stake, they're kind of slipping in that department. So it cuts to prison, which is where Stein's being held and tortured, and also Ray and Heatwave have been thrown into a cell together. And Ray is adorably naive, and curse this show for making me care about Ray, because this was the worst episode to care about Ray in, because nothing good was gonna happen. I mean, he's a highly intelligent individual, but he's so not made for prison. Not that I think that many people are made for prison. I just feel like his build and his mind is not going to help him in this situation. And I think he's one of those people who generally goes all sweet and stupid when they're anxious, so he's actually freaking out, but he's trying to just be like, if I smile and just say nice things, maybe it'll all be okay. Except it's not going to be okay. And he got beaten to a pulp. And Heatwave kind of just stood back and watched, because he's not a good wingman unless you are Captain Cold. He has very strict, allegiances. That being said, it was nice to see that kind of develop on both fronts. Heatwave started to care about more than one person, and Cold started to care about more than one person. You know, he actually cared whether or not Stein got assassinated by White Canary, and he cared about White Canary's, like, mental health if she went ahead and, you know, killed Stein. I think that's really important because we know throughout the series so far that Cold definitely has a lot of levels to him. And I mean, it's even clear in The Flash that he cares about other people other than himself, even though he acts like he doesn't. It's his first defense. But it's just nice to see it reaffirmed that he's actually better at bringing the team all together and supporting everybody and listening to how they feel and worrying about what, you know, their actions may cause consequences than Rip Hunter. Like, Captain Cold for the new captain of the ship, please. He's already got the name. Let's just go out there and give him the hat. There should be a hat. And then he can just fly the ship and save the day. And Rip Hunter can sit down the back and just make sure that the timeline's okay. It's fine. He can just stay on the ship. It'll be better for everybody. I mean, Cold's sass is like the glue that is holding this series together at this point. And, I mean, even the fact that he's like, you know, that's Rip's plan, not mine, and just like goes off. And then at the end with them all toasting, and he was like, to Rip's plans, never going the way they should, or like, whatever the line is. I don't know, it was a great line. Perfect. Delivered brilliantly, as always. I also really enjoyed the little subtle laughs, like when Jax was running and he was like, Barry Allen who? But I mean, Savage nailed it in one when he said Rip Hunter must be a fool, because he kind of really is. This has just become one giant video about how much Rip Hunter is not made to run Legends of Tomorrow. But I think it's important. Like, he's actually shown no sign that he is made to run the Legends team at the moment. Maybe they're going to develop a way to prove that he is, but at this point it's just looking pretty bleak. That being said, they rescued Stein. There was a small nuclear explosion. You know, otherwise everything else went smoothly. And then they're like, yay, the timeline's fine. And when they say the timeline's fine, I can't keep working out if they mean like, the timeline's fine and Savage is not going to destroy the world, or the timeline's fine, it's back to being as horrible as it was before. Like, I really don't get it. They're just, at this point, they're just like, we'll take whatever small victory we can get. And then they fell out of Time Stream because Kronos is back, even though I thought he was dead. Anyway, he's back. Everyone comes back in this show. And he shot a missile at them, and then they fell out of time and space and landed in 2046, where everything's on fire in Star City. And for some weird reason, Ray and Sarah thought that that arrow would still be the same arrow. So they're like, hey buddy, except it's like 2046. It's like 30 years in the future. The dude be 60. Also, he didn't even have the same build. Like, I have never watched an episode of Arrow, but I have seen ads and I have seen him in The Flash, and I knew straight away that was not the same Arrow. These people are smart. Do the maths. That ain't your friend. And, I mean, they might know some name throwback like, oh, let's pass on the legacy of Sarah. But given, like, everything that's happening, that detail probably got lost. But anyway, that was the cliffhanger. It's 2046, stuff is on fire, and Arrow, the new Arrow of the future, is about to shoot them with his quiver? Is the quiver the name of the arrow? Yeah, quiver and bow. My archery jargon is limited. I'm sorry. Basically, overall, I think it was a much better episode than last week. It's starting to lift its game again. It was better paced as well. It was really horrible seeing Ray be tortured, but he was rescued and everything turned out okay in that department, so it was nice to see them kind of not lose another member of the team and get their act together. But we really need a new leader, and we really need to start making progress so that we're not just celebrating the fact that the timeline is still as equally screwed as it was before, because at the moment we're going nowhere fast. So it's Legends of the same day instead of Legends of tomorrow, because I feel like tomorrow is never coming. Yeah, that's all I have to say. So I don't know how to say goodbye in Russian, so I'm going to stick to English. Toodles!